friends, we are looking at the honey farm from Insoon. This is set number SG8826 with 1,704 pieces. And we're going to do, in this video, we'll do a 360 look at it, and then we'll zoom in closer and take a look at the different details and what it comes with. So basically what we're seeing here is almost like an apartment building, and it's got these hexagonal sections or modules that are all pinned together using small little axle pieces. You build them individually, and there's a lighting kit that goes into the top of each of them. And I'll show you the lighting kit too, and I'll show you the battery box. And we'll go inside each of these, and we'll look at each of the different rooms. We'll look at the landscaping section along the bottom. One quick factoid is I counted 14 different bees. And there's 14 bees. They have slightly different builds depending on where they are. And there is a queen bee with a crown. Since we're at this particular camera angle, let's do a 360 and then we'll take a look at the rooftop. But you see there's a tree build here. There are windows here, and there's access points. Along the back, it's not that pretty. It's just sort of not really meant to be seen from this side, but they do put some flowers along the bottom. This side, they do have more foliage growing on the side of the structure. There's a little butterfly there, and then more windows here too, so it lets in light. And there's also pass-through frames, like doorways, that let you go from here to here, and then from this one up to this one. And all right, so since we're here, I'm going to get in a little bit closer. So at the very top here, they have this feature where you can spin the bees like that. Works pretty well, and you can actually have some weight to it. Each of those bee builds is pretty cool. You can see it's got a little bit of these little feather tips that actually work as wings, as well as a barb. And then just the face of it. It's very simple. And then also over here we have a rooftop section, and it has a shelf with a plant and a jar, a couple of carrots growing, and a small little planter. And then we have two bees and some flowers and another planter over here in a pot there. And there's a small chair in the back here you can kind of see. And then there is a battery box. And that's the battery box that powers each of the light pieces. So there's 3 lighting elements. This battery box has an on-off switch right there. You can see, and the wiring goes, and it's right here, and it goes down, I think, first into this unit, then down to the bottom unit, then up to the top unit. And it's a battery box that comes with batteries inside it already. So we can like take it out. You can take a look here, and it has a little isolator you pull out. And then if you need to swap out the batteries, I think they're just button cell batteries that go in there. All right, and it's one of those like 2x4 style battery boxes. All right, so let's change the camera angle and zoom in, take a closer look. So starting on the ground floor, you see these really nicely built up plants. These are some of the better looking plants I've done before. There was some design and thought put into how they are put together in the multi-pieces. Same with these. They've done a good job using these green pieces right before you put the colorful plant on there, and it creates a pretty convincing plant the way that they've done it. And with these pieces, I normally dread anytime you have to put like these, especially these like bamboo pieces. I dread them because they fall off really easily. But what this designer has done is they've done what they can to make sure that things are, they're either placed behind a rock, like in this case, it's placed behind these couple of rocks so that it's harder for it to be bumped off. I appreciate that they did that. Or with these little green stems, they're actually plugged into other parts to just make them a little bit more durable. And the bees are all held up with these transparent bar pieces. And those transparent bar pieces are usually pretty well mounted into the landscape. And here's another bee. I love the little build that they did for it. And there's a little dog, and more plants along the side, some bigger flowers. And again, these are fairly good structures. They're not going to fall over and tip over as you're moving things around. There is one bee box here, and it comes with, oh, by the way, everything is a printed decoration that you see. Everything is printed. So this particular bee box comes with these little honeycomb structures that are inside, and they're all printed. And there's 4 in this box, and they kept falling over. So on one of the boxes, this last box over here, I added an extra stud to it just so that they would stand upright inside the box. There's a secondary box back here that opens up, and there's a cover, so you can actually pull the cover off, and then it has 4 of these just like in this first box up here. So there's another 4 of those comb structures in there, and then there's a vessel right there in front. 3 little mushrooms. I asked my wife, who is a mushroom fan, if these are edible, and she said nope, those are all poisonous. 2 more bees back here, and then there is a nice tree structure, a little squirrel right there, and there is, if you see, another brown trunk, and all that does is it actually helps hold up this module. And there's a clear piece back here that also helps hold up this module. Both of those do that job pretty well. And then on the side here, there's a little tiny blue bird. So there's a lot of little animals on this, which I really like. And they did an okay job keeping things to scale so that things make sense. All right, now looking at the rooms, each room has a purpose. So this first room right here, you can think of this as the workshop where they are preparing and canning the honey. So what we've got here, I believe, is the centrifuge, and there is a small bucket. There's a spigot and a bucket that is at the bottom of it. So we'll zoom in here a little bit. So you can kind of see the bucket right there, just under the yellow piece. There is a yellow honey piece right here on this table, a mug. There is a, like a, I don't know what you call that, a cauldron, and it's actually got a honey, I don't know what you'd call this, like a honey stick, you know, where you're whisking up a bunch of honey into a little ball. We've got vessels here as they're canning the honey, and some of the honey has fallen onto the ground. You can see that right there. And there's that little desk where they're canning them with the jars. And they even have little custom labels on the top of those jars, which is neat. And then going up a little, you see that there is this work shelf with, again, more jars, more honey, a plant. And they did this clever thing where with these hexagonal shapes, in order to have straight shelving, they've used bars and clips. So you're actually just clipping them in place. Let me see if I can bend this down so you can see what I'm talking about. So as I bend that down, you'll see that that's just held in place with these clips. And that's how they put that. And it pretty much works at just the right angle. And there's a suggestion of a drawer that's open. And one of those vessels is under glass, which is kind of cool. And there's a plant in a little pot. Along the back wall, you see there's a brush, another jar, looks like almost like a watering can or some sort of can. There's a decoration against the wall of a, I think that's a bee and almost like a honeycomb, like a photo of a honeycomb. There's a poster, an informative poster back there, another shelf with 2 white drawers, and another jar of honey on that shelf. And then this looks almost like a mouse trap. I wonder if it is. If it is, then that means that's cheese that's sitting there with a mouse trap. That's a little bit strange, but yeah, but hey, cool. And then there's a ladder. I like that. That's your way to get into the other rooms. There is, let's see, more decorations. There's 2 hanging plants from the ceiling. That's one. There's another one. And then in the back, you see there's a toolbox on a shelf with a candle with that really beautiful gold, and then a flame on it. And there is a light, so you can see my hand is lit up. And each of the lights is a 1x6 plate. So we're going to tilt up and see if we can see the one in the room above it. So right there, you see it's a 1x6 plate. Normally when you get these light kits, it's just a 1x4 plate. But here it's a 1x6 plate, which is really cool. I've never seen a 1x6 lighting element before in one of these sets. So it was a welcome addition. Okay, and then going over to the second room here, each of these rooms have a purpose, right? So now you can think of this maybe as the room for the beekeeper. And so he's got, or he or she's got a bed, a pillow. It's a nice little bed build, and it looks just like a little bee. It's all yellow with a black band on it. It's got an orange cat. Here's a minifigure for scale. It doesn't come with any minifigs, but there's one for scale. It's got a little rug in the corner, and this little bench, or maybe it's an end table. It's a really nice build. You can see the legs all splay out, but it has one cone that it uses so that you can clip it down. So almost everything in this build is clipped down or held in place with some gravity, and you could tilt it without things falling out. And so I appreciate that they did that. They didn't just like leave things sitting out, and if you were to tilt it, it would fall over. In the back there is a fireplace with two flames. There's 3 logs kind of tucked in the corner there, which is perfect. Perfect use of that triangular shape in that corner is, I mean, that's where I would put the logs, right? So that's perfect. And it also has the smoke exhaust coming from it. It has a hat rack. Maybe that's the beekeeper's like face mask, part of their outfit that they wear. There's a poster there that says sunshine, a clock. There's a bookshelf. What does that say on the bookshelf? It says home sweet home. Oh, that's perfect. Home sweet home. And then another piece of art along the top there. And then going down, there's 2 more shelves. So next to the bed, there's an alarm clock, as well as a piece of honey. So when they're going to sleep, that is a piece of honey with a printed honeycomb structure on it, and a lantern. And this green piece, it has a 4-leaf clover printed on the top of it. And let's see, did we see everything? There is that other shelf in the corner right here. And again, it's another jar and another plant with 2 white drawers. And then here you can see that there's another ladder that leads from this second module up to the final module, the third one, and goes up into it. And that little black axle piece is the one that holds these together. All right, so now let's go over to the final room, and let's zoom out first a little bit, get a better view of it. So this final room is meant to look like the honeycomb itself, and it has that entire mesh network to it, and there are a bunch of bees working on it, and they're in various phases of creating the honey. And I like that they're all kind of attached to it in these random ways like you would see in a real honeycomb. And then there is a bee. So whoever designed this had a great sense of humor, because they said, you know what, let's do a crown on the queen bee, and let's make sure it's gold. And so there it is. It's a giant gold crown on the queen bee, and she's a little bit bigger. They made her build bigger by about 1 plate. So I appreciate that. And then as you look at the back there, you're going to see all sorts of translucent pieces, some opaque pieces that are all meant to give you the sense that there's honey being made in different stages of the process. Then going down a little bit, you see that there is a planter down there. And then there's 2 more shelves with more plants, which is cool. That's nicely done. And all the plants are really cleverly made to look really good at the scale that you're looking at. So they did a great job there. Oh, and there is a little fountain. So a water feature there with a little bit of blue water. And then this room also gets a little poster. So I'm not sure what that is. Maybe this is a schedule for the bees to keep. It almost looks like a calendar where you know, they're doing their bee thing on different plants on different days of the week, or maybe they're just checking them off or something like that. So it's a clever little decoration. So I love that they did that. This designer was working closely with the graphic designer as they did their little decorations. They thought about them. They thought through what should go on each of those decorations. So I appreciate that they did that. All right. And then zooming out, here's a different angle, just as you're looking at it. And yeah, it's pretty successful. I am a big fan of this. It's a open face build that has a theme. They do a great job with that theme. They make it work with minifigures, and it's accessible from the front. You don't have to turn it around like a dollhouse and put things in it. And it has lights. These are lights that are brighter than many of the light kits you get from Insoon's kits. And then they have a lot of animals. There's a lot of opportunity to play. It's really easy to get your hands in there. And the structure is very modern, and it's really enjoyable just to look at because it's so tall and so vertical. And it has this kind of cantilever section like you would see with modern architecture. So, and of course they've blended a little bit of trees and greenery into it too. So this is an extremely successful set. I think whatever Insoon did on this one, or the designer did, they need to keep doing. Just give their designers free range to do what they want to do. And I think you're going to get really solid builds like this that are consistent, that tell a story, that are fun, that are playable, and they work as a architectural piece, as a design piece, as an art piece, and as a play piece. So great job, Insoon. Really like this one. Okay, cool. So I hope you like this review. If you do, hit like. And if you could subscribe, that would mean a lot to me, and you'll see more content as soon as it's released. All right, thanks so much.